You're listening to Ask When, the podcast. Folks from all walks of life talk about their daily hustle and bustle, living and celebrating life, sharing tips on becoming champions, especially for those who are muscling mental and physical disabilities. Ask When, the podcast, with your host, who has mustered over 30 years living with cerebral palsy and going strong, author and cerebral palsy advocate Wynn Charles. Ask When, the podcast starts right now.
Welcome to Ask When, everyone. This afternoon I have Tanya with me, and I'm going to let Miss Tanya take it away.
Sure. So thank you, Wynn, for having me today. I definitely appreciate the opportunity to be on, and I get to ask Wynn questions too, y'all. So y'all be prepared. I get to ask her. But my name is Tanya J, LLC. That's my company. Talking with Tanya is my blog that I have, and basically I help you to figure out how to fit the puzzle pieces of life together. I do that as a coach, as an author, as a speaker, and as a strategist, because more than anything, I want you to do life and leadership unapologetically on purpose. So if you guys are already rocking with Wynn, you know what she's about, you know what she's standing for, and you know we're gonna have a good time. So I'm ready. I know you have some questions that you're gonna ask me, but be ready, because I'm gonna ask you some right back.
Yeah, I am. So Tanya,
Yes, ma'am.
what is your favorite book? And
So
what is the title?
okay. So I have to tell you, this is my favorite book because this when I fell in love with writing. So it's a children's book, but I fell in love with it, and it really just opened my imagination and my creativity, because I didn't get that early on in high school. I mean, in elementary school at the school I was at. And so the book is by Laura Numeroff, and the title of the book is "If You Give a Mouse a Cookie." That is by far my favorite book. There's like 100, feels like different stories. If you give a pig a pancake, if you get like a moose a muffin, but the first one, that's the best one.
90s kid. I am a 90s kid. And I remember that book.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that book. I don't have it on me, but I remember that book. If you give a mouse a cookie, he will ask for a glass of milk. If you
Yeah.
give him a glass of milk, he'll ask, and it goes on. And then
Yes.
I'm like, okay, give him a mouse a
Yes.
cookie. I love it. So, Tanya, if
Yes.
your BFF had to write a book about you, what would the
Mhm.
title be?
Um. Uh. Softly spoken,
Softly spoken. Why?
because normally if in my everyday, I'm one that's introvert, so I'm normally quiet, but I still know what I have to do when it's time for me to speak up, and I speak up with clarity and certainty, and I guess you could say unapologeticness as well. And so I say softly because most people, they see the introvert until they meet the one that speaks a lot. Can I ask you, what would your friends, what would your BFFs, what would even Danielle say about you?
Oh boy. Uh,
Okay.
for those of for those of you who are new listeners, Danielle, who happens to be my assistant. First of
Hmm.
all, she's my BFF. She's been my BFF for 20 some odd years. So,
You're
uh,
telling our age, when you shouldn't be telling our age like this. You don't have to tell
well,
them that far back.
I just want to give them the concept of it. Okay,
I agree.
so she was going to write a book about me. With,
Wow.
um, I inspired her to write her books.
Wow. That's amazing. That's real
And a
friendship.
lot of people don't know that I inspired her to write her books. So if she was going to write a book about me, I guess the title would be A winning attitude.
Okay, so is that the title of the first one that she wrote?
Her books, um, uh, her books are if Dan can sled, you can do it too. And then
Okay.
she has many, many, many children's books out there. Danny Doll goes to Ragdoll Land, and
Mhm.
yes, and then my books. You can also find my books on Amazon. And my book, I Come a Win, could be found on Amazon. But
Mhm.
Danielle and I haven't collaborated on a book yet.
You guys have to.
Should.
It sounds like it.
Probably
Like y'all
should.
have a lot to tell and a lot to share from both sides of the
Probably should.
friendship.
So, yeah, we probably should. So,
Mhm.
Tanya, if you had to move houses and only take 5 things with you, what would they be?
You said 5?
5.
Okay. So does it include a person? Do I need to make sure I bring my husband?
Yes, it includes husband and
Okay.
kids and
Okay. Okay. All right. So I would include my husband. I would include my shoe collection. I would include my heating pad because I have to have that with me. I have chronic pain. And then um, I guess I would say the nerd in me, I would say all the important documents, birth certificates, passports, so that file with all those important documents. So I'll say that. And then honestly, because I actually thought about this, just I don't know why, but I would make sure we got our wedding ring.
well, that's a good thing that's a good thing to get. A
Yeah.
wedding ring is a good thing to get. Um, yeah, I well, I shouldn't tell the story, but my mom almost lost hers,
Mm.
and luckily we found it, and
Mhm.
I know exactly where it is now. If
Mhm.
someone asked me, "Where is your mom's wedding ring?"
Mhm.
We almost lost it in the process of losing her because
Oh
she
wow.
died she died in a hospital, and let's just say they weren't very receptive about giving stuff back to us. And
Oh no.
my dad died in a long-term care facility
Mhm.
only in May, and I'm surprised those people didn't steal any of his belongings. Geez. Because I am thinking, well, he brought with him into that care facility over $1,000 MacBook, and I'm surprised that they didn't take it. They didn't take it. We still have it, and so when you mentioned grabbing the lending wing, when you mentioned grabbing this valuable items, now such as a computer too, um, I yeah, you gotta grab those valuable items.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Like, I mean, especially as crazy as it is between our computers and our phones, we literally we would probably be helpless without them because we're so used to the technology that they bring.
Oh yes, we are. We would probably be helpless without them. So yes, we are. And so, what is your morning routine?
Um, it kind of varies a little bit, but most of the time I kind of will sit for the day. Like I said, I mentioned I have some chronic illnesses, so that's why it varies. Because some days, if I'm having a major flare up, I'm going to be laying in the bed with meds and heating pad and stuff like that. But I still just try to still myself because sometimes if you just jump up and get running, you haven't kind of put your mind at ease and prepared for the day. So sometimes I'll just sit there and try to just prepare for the day, and maybe even think about the things that are on my list, so that I don't necessarily get overwhelmed, but I am able to acknowledge what I need to work on. So when I'll tell you the truth, my husband, he was working out in the morning. And so if I could pull it off, because I'm not a morning person, I would go work out too. So that sometimes would be part of my routine if I could wake up, because I'm not a morning person and I don't drink coffee. And I don't like, there's no part of caffeine that I do. And everybody's like, but you're not a morning person. I know that's where the struggle is. The struggle is real. But, it just, for me, even because probably the closest thing to coffee for me is a hot shower. So that is definitely a part of it. Like that's what wakes me up. And then, like I said, just maybe listening to some music, or just try not to do the news, because sometimes it's too negative. But maybe listen to some music, or even an audiobook, because I love audiobooks too, as well, when I'm getting ready or when I'm driving to work. So that's kind of the basic routine that I
So
do.
are
Um,
you working from home now?
yeah.
I presume. Yeah, I
hmm
presume
So,
you all the
so Monday feels like Sunday.
Monday. I have
Wednesday feels like Saturday.
yet to hear someone say that. So all this math. But yes, but my my stepmom said, "Is it today Wednesday?"
Seriously, I
And
literally,
because it's going into one right now. It's going
yeah,
into one,
it
and so
is.
yeah, and so I want to ask you,
Okay.
and this is a new one on,
Just like I'm bracing you, Tanya. I'm
and
prepare yourself.
I want to ask all the women out there, what is their one favorite piece of makeup?
Lip gloss.
Lip gloss.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
it.
I'm going to start asking the women out there what
What about you?
I like lip gloss.
hmm
I also like a little bit of blush, but lip gloss is my favorite. And so yes, lip
I have
gloss.
a friend. She like, if she's not wearing her blush, I'm like, what's wrong? Like, where's your blush? You're like,
Yep.
she is one of those ladies that blush is her thing. She has peaches, oranges, red, like purple, like it, and it just really works. And I was like, I don't think it's gonna look right on me. I'm like, but I love it on you. It looks gorgeous. But yeah, I'm all
Love
the way
it,
through and
but
through a
nope,
lip gloss pearl.
nope, your lip gloss, you'll. And so as we wrap this interview up,
hmm
do you have any questions for me?
I would say, kind of, what made you write your first book? What happened?
The loss
Why
of
did you decide to write the
loss
first
of my mom, the loss of my mom, and so the loss of my mom and the loss of my mom made me write my first book, and I'm slowly, but I'm actually obtaining. I shouldn't say slowly because it's quickly now. I'm um, obtaining my journalism degree, so I'll get back to writing, and
Okay.
I'll yeah. But I the loss of my mom really wanted me to get my story out and start
Did it
speaking.
start your healing process
Yeah,
too?
it started my
And
healing
grieving?
process. Then I lost my dad, and then it yeah, it all went it all went uphill from then. I almost said downhill, but it all went uphill from there. And I make money off of my books. I am a full-time motivational speaker. I'm also a represent. I also work with two companies, Allbon and Lime Life, which is a all natural beauty company.
Okay.
And so yeah, and so I will be doing that for
Uh-huh.
the rest of my life, and we'll see what happens. But right now I'm sharing my story and
Uh-huh.
doing all of that.
So let me ask you one more question. So out of all the interviews you've done since you started back in 2010, so like 10 years now, like a lot.
Yeah.
What was the craziest interview or person you interviewed? What was your craziest interview or your craziest person that you interviewed? What did they do?
The craziest interview that I have ever done is I interviewed someone that had to go into a mental hospital.
Okay. Wow.
And yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is better. And so and they, her name is Mackenzie Little, and I'll never forget it because she, she asked me, well, how many downloads did my episode get?
Oh
And
wow.
was, yeah. And I'm like, well, yeah. And so, and people know I take my interviews seriously. I take my work seriously. And
Hmm.
so, yep. And so that was the it's a very good interview. And
Okay.
but her saying I had to go into a mental hospital was interesting.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So if you so how did you, I guess, so I know you were doing the motivational speaking and you've written the book, but how did you end up landing to want to do the podcast and interviewing people like me and allowing us to tell a little bit about the inner circle, if you will, or kind of more of just getting to know the person, not just what they do? What made you start the podcast?
When I published my book, I when I published my book, I thought, oh, great, now it's published. So
Hmm.
now how am I
Which
going
is
to
what most authors do. Like, okay, it's done. What next?
it's done? What next? But no, I knew I had to market the book because I was listening to a podcast at the time and they go, well, once you publish a book, you have to market the book. And
Yes.
podcast,
They authors need to hear that, or aspiring
you
authors. They
did?
need to hear
Okay.
that what Wynn said.
Once
Don't just
you,
want to write it, but promote it too.
Tanya,
Yeah.
once you publish the book, you
Hmm.
have to market the
Yep.
book. And even
Absolutely.
though Tanya heard me, I'm telling you guys that loud and clear. And
Hmm.
so, yeah. And so I, yeah. So that is that. And yeah. So at the time, I was listening to a podcast trying to figure out how to publish a book.
Hmm.
And And so that's how I knew about podcasting. Tried
Hmm.
YouTube the first time around was a failure in itself because I wouldn't bring people on, and I literally had a fan tell me, I want to watch you, I want to watch the YouTube show, but I can't leave my computer open
Hmm.
to watch you. I can hear you. And so
Yeah.
then I stumbled across podcasting and I fell in
Hmm.
love with it and have done over 13,000 episodes.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, a lot of times that's kind of what's been the crave with the podcast, or how it's been able, even audiobooks, because a lot of times if you're at work, you can't just have the book sitting out and reading it. You can't just have YouTube out or open, but you can, listen to something that is on your phone, or uh well, yeah, everybody has it on their phone now. Listen to a book, listen to Spotify, listen to Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google, and it won't cause any issues. So that, I think that's even the more why the podcasts are becoming a big thing, because they allow you to access great information, whether it's music or a book, but not from a way that would give you any trouble, I guess you would say, at a
Yeah,
job.
not
But yeah,
no, because so many employers block websites
they do.
if
Yeah.
you I was really blessed with my employer, and I was really blessed with my employer. I got to use my phone, but
Mhm.
I noticed that uh, even though I was doing stuff for them on social media, I noticed I had a trick getting on social media because even LinkedIn I had a trick on because they don't want you to be on social media.
Yep, they don't. For the most part, those
Yeah,
sites like those are
yeah,
blocked. So you basically wanted to find a creative way so that the people that wanted what you had were able to get it and access it without costing you.
yes,
So that's
exactly,
great. That's great.
exactly.
And look at where you're at now.
Yeah,
I mean, 10
well,
years later, thousands of episodes and interviews later.
yep,
And if you wouldn't have started, if you wouldn't have written the book, if you wouldn't have heard about the podcast, you and I wouldn't be talking today. So I
yeah.
definitely have enjoyed being able to let you share a little bit more. Let me share a little bit more about me, and also get to know you even more when too. So thank you. I really have enjoyed
Oh, thank
kind of
you.
the
And
conversation, and just literally we were just having a little a little Wednesday. I don't even know what day it is. Did you hear I say Saturday? A
yeah,
little Wednesday night, a Wednesday evening chat.
yeah. That's how
Before
we do
dinner.
it.
So I've enjoyed it.
That's
Thank
how
you.
we do it. Wednesday evening chats, and that's how we do it. And so, so thank you, Tanya, for coming
Thank
on.
you. I
And
appreciate
I
it.
am going. I'll catch the rest of you guys later. But I truly appreciate Tanya coming on. And where can people find you?
So on social media, you can find me under Talking with Tanya. That's going to be on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Then, if you want to check out any of my books, journals, or what I call message merch, basically merch with a purpose, that's shop.tanyajmiller.com. The direct website is tanyajmiller.com, where you have all the links as well as information on coaching, strategy sessions, speaking invites, all those different things. And then I also have online classes as well on life and leadership at school.tanyajmiller.com. So check me out. The books are still on Amazon as well. The books are there in print, digital, audio, and then the journals are there in print. So check me out. Check Wynn out. Check Danielle out. Obviously, we're a bunch of ladies that love to write and have a story to tell.
Yeah,
So if we have a story to tell, you should at least go see for yourself and check it out. So support
exactly.
all of us and support where we're trying to go and what we're trying to do, which is to make an impact and help you win in life, and to do it unapologetically on purpose. So thank
Well,
you. I appreciate it.
well, I appreciate you guys too, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye, you guys.
You just listened to Ask Win, the podcast. To become a guest in the show, visit our website at askwin.weebly.com or call 816-591-3399. Just look for Danielle. Connect with Win on Twitter at WinKellyCharles and like our Facebook page at Butterflies of Wisdom. You can also purchase Win's book through Amazon.com or get a copy of the audiobook through Audible. Ask Win, the podcast.